The Israeli army says it has taken more than 20 people into custody following a raid at Nasser Hospital in Gaza. The military is accusing these people of participating in the attack on Israel on the 7th of October. The Israeli army says in a statement that it located weapons inside the facility. Nasser is no longer operational. Israeli forces stormed into the hospital yesterday and have taken control of the site. The WHO says it has been trying to get access as many critically injured and sick patients remain inside. Israel's military said they raided Nasser because they had information that Hamas militants were keeping hostages there. As Israel's offensive continues, fears of a spillover of the war grow. Egypt is reportedly preparing an accommodation area for fleeing Palestinians along its border with the enclave, anticipating an influx of arrivals should Israel launch its ground offensive in Rafah. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that they would provide safe passage to more than 1 million refugees in Rafah city, but the UN doubts displaced civilians would be able to evacuate to a safe place, warning a military operation in Rafah would result in a, quote, Egyptian nightmare. Sarah Coates joins us from Tel Aviv with the latest. Sarah, let's start first with the reports that Egypt is preparing accommodation areas for those fleeing Palestinians. How afraid is Cairo of a spillover?
Hi, Jill. Extremely concerned. Egyptian officials at this stage are denying that they are, in fact, building a so-called buffer zone there on that border. But these pictures, these satellite images, certainly appear to paint a different picture. You can see in those pictures a huge strip of land that's been cleared. There's also a wall that's going up, heavy machinery being seen on that border. Apparently, this wall is about 8 metres high. The border has also been very heavily fortified with extra Egyptian troops. And there is so much concern, so much anger that this potential ground operation into that southern Gazan city of Rafah could, in fact, push around 1.5 million Palestinians over that border into the Sinai Peninsula. Now, Egypt has been continually warning Israel that it must not do this, also saying that any kind of Israeli troop build-up on that border with Egypt would severely jeopardise the 4 decades-long peace treaty between the two countries. So, look, this really puts Egypt in a very, very difficult position if this ground operation does, in fact, happen. Does it be complicit in potentially allowing these Palestinians to go over the border and potentially not be able to return home? Or does it sit there and watch what happens in the south?
Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden has spoken to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He is urging him, as we know, to reconsider that ground operation in Rafah. Any developments there?
Benjamin Netanyahu, he remains extremely defiant. He is vowing to push on with what he's calling a powerful operation in Rafah, saying we will achieve complete victory over Hamas. This was certainly one of the discussions that happened last night during this 40-minute or so phone conversation between Joe Biden and the Israeli Prime Minister. That is, of course, while the CIA Director Bill Burns made that surprise visit here to Israel. A number of other things were discussed between Netanyahu and Biden. That was the humanitarian aid going into the Gaza Strip, also this deal to try and get these 130 or so Israeli hostages out of the Strip. Now, as these conversations were happening, there was a massive protest in front of the Defence Ministry here in Tel Aviv. A number of these family members of people who are still being held in the Strip, they chained themselves together. They are threatening to storm that Defence Ministry, saying that the government needs to do more to bring these people home now. And this is why, Jill, we are seeing this operation happening inside that Nasser hospital in Khan Yunis, with, as we've been reporting, Israeli intelligence believing that some of these hostages and also the bodies of these captives could be being held there.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, for that update there. Sarah Coates, live in Tel Aviv.